students. Welcome to the Checkpoint Online Sessions. I'm Mr. Charles, and this is the second lesson of Week 6. Unit 8, Caring and Sharing. In this unit, you will learn more about how to persuade and how to evoke emotions. You will learn how to create a dialogue, and you will respond to a news story, a fiction story, a diary entry, and an appeal letter. Please go to page 103, 10 facts about malaria. Let's read together. 1. A preventable disease that affects almost half of the world's population and causes over 660,000 deaths per year. 2. An infection caused by the malaria parasite entering the bloodstream, usually through the bite of an infected mosquito. 3. Over 90% of the deaths occur in the sub-Saharan Africa. 4. 3,000 children die of malaria every day. 5. Only the female mosquito transmits this disease. 6. Sleeping under a mosquito net is essential in affected regions. 7. Children under 5 are most at risk. 8. The disease exists in 109 countries around the world. 9. Mosquito breed where there is an abundance of humidity and rain. 10. Symptoms are fever, chills, and headache. Now go to page 104, Shameful Waste. Let's read together. When I was at school, we had to eat everything on our plates, no matter how nasty, because starving children in Africa would have been grateful for it, something incomprehensible for school children nowadays. But the world is smaller now, and there is an obvious relationship between what I eat and what others don't and can't. Increasingly, people understand that wastefulness affects everybody across the globe. It squanders the world's plenty and leaves pollution, overcrowding, disease, and famine in its wake. Somehow that doesn't stop us wasting food in astonishing quantities. As much as half of all the food produced in the world, 2 billion tons, end up as waste. It never makes it to the plate. This is enough to startle anyone with statistics fatigue. The explanation is twofold. In the developing world, poor farming practice, poor storage, and poor infrastructure are to blame. The losses are between the field and the marketplace. But in the developed world, we throw good food away or don't bother to harvest it. We just waste it. And this is not simply squandering all or the food itself, it is an unnecessary waste of the land, water, and energy resources that we used in this production, processing, and distribution of this food. Most of what is wasted could have been perfectly eaten. Most waste occurs when we put into the bin potatoes, bread, fruit, salad, meat, and fish. More than a quarter of what is thrown away is still in its plastic wrapping. Most of the billions of tons of waste food goes into landfill, where it generates methane. Supermarkets in Western countries throw away misshapen fruit and vegetables and insist on pointless perfection. Lots of people have blamed supermarket sell-by dates for being far too cautious, and their buy one get one free deals for encouraging overbuying, which is certain to cause waste. All this could and should be dealt with. There are some more comprehensive solutions. The first would be to make the disposal of food waste less convenient. It can be left outside in bins for ages, and someone will remove it, however revolting its state. That should stop, and it should be possible to get rid of unwanted food only in small quantities. Schools out to make pupils aware of this terrible waste, and this moral should be taken right down to the dinner plate. Today's children should be told to finish eating what they have been given and why it is important. Charities should create images of undernourished children next to lorries pouring good vegetables and bread into landfill sites. At the moment, people simply don't understand why waste really means, and they should be forced to think about it. Extravagance isn't really glamorous or appealing at all when it comes to food. It is a sin against other people. Difficult vocabulary and phrases explained. Incomprehensible is an adjective and it means unintelligible. But in this context, it means it is not being understood. Squanders is a verb in the with the third person singular s, and it means to waste or wastes. Famine is the noun, and it is a situation or a state when food is extremely rare. To startle is to frighten, to shock. Twofold, it means doubled, and in this case, it means has two sides. The first world countries and the second world countries. Revolting is a verb, and in this case, it's a gerund, and it means in a disgusting state. So basically, the waste of the food stays in the bin for too long, but when people come or the health officials that are responsible for taking it out, when they take it out, it is in an incomprehensible state. It is in a revolting state, disgusting state. They cannot take it and, for example, give it to other people or restore it somewhere. It is beyond reparation. Extravagance is a noun, and it's the state of wasting too much, state of wastefulness. Squanders the world's plenty and leaves the world with pollution. To squander the world's plenty is to waste the abundance nature provides. World's plenty. In its wake, following on from that, in its way, in its road. Statistics fatigue is when someone is being unable to register numbers or their significance because one has seen too much of that. So when you watch, let's say, TV too much, you will have TV fatigue because you will be unable to understand what the show is about anymore because you have seen too much of it. Poor infrastructure, it is unsatisfactory road system or transport network. This is the infrastructure of many. It's also the sewage system as well. Pointless perfection, the extravagance, it is an ideal state that is not needed. Pointless. The use of double and triple structures in the text. Whenever we have discussion or text analysis, after all of our texts, make sure to pause the video before we continue and try to extract the titles or examples of these titles, pieces of evidence of these titles from the text, and then return to the video and see how correct or how close were you. Double and triple structures in the text. First, the double structures, we have the don't and can't between the field and the marketplace. misshapen fruit and vegetables. This could and should be dealt with. Pouring good vegetables and bread isn't really glamorous or appealing. All of these come in two. The triple structures: what I eat and what others don't and can't. So what I eat, what others don't eat, others can't eat. Poor farming practices, poor storage, poor infrastructure. Second and third world countries' problems. Waste of the land, water, and energy resources. This is the other side of the losses that we face because of wastefulness. Production, processing, distribution of this food. This is the energy resources, or these are the energy resources that are spent on this as well. Triple structures. Third conditional. Well, third conditional is used, or it consists of the structure would or could or might plus have plus past participle. This is one part of the whole structure that is third conditional, which is the if clause and the main clause. The if clause consists of if plus past perfect, which is had plus v3, and the main clause consists of would, could, or might plus have plus v3 or past participle. For example, if you had listened to me, we might have won the game. What does third conditional express? Which state or which truth does it express? This sentence implies that the game is over and there's nothing you can do now to change it. But the speaker is lamenting past events prior to the moment of speaking. So basically now, what's done is done. This cannot be fixed. Nothing can change. Time has passed. But if anything had been different, outcome might have been different as well. This is called the butterfly effect. When you have changed something in the past, things will follow, changes will follow. It's never going to be only that change, no matter how minor or major that change is. This change in the past that is impossible to do, at least before scientists invent time travel, for now, change in the past is impossible, and it can be expressed when wanted through third conditional. Please pay attention that if you want to reverse the position of the main clause and the if clause, you can. If you want to bring the main clause to the front and then if clause to its place, you may do that. But remember to erase the comma. For example, in our example, if you want, you can say, we might have won the game if you had listened to me. Still the same meaning, still grammatical, nothing is ill-grammatical. Just make sure you erase the comma. Imperative structures that are a lot or plenty in the text. The repeated use of imperative models makes the passage sound commanding, because imperative, right? And the situation to be dire, serious, urgent, and must be dealt with immediately. Prefixes that exist in the text. You have many prefixes that may mean the same thing, or some other prefixes that are independent in their own meaning. The prefix in, un, and this, they are first degree cousins, and they all mean not, more or less. And examples of them would be ingenious, unsolvable, disinfect. Over means too much, this prefix. And examples include overhyped, he's hyped too much. Overestimate, he's thinking way too much of this. Overconsume, to eat more than wanted. Pro means forward or agrees with. For example, proclaim, prolong, and provoke. Not necessarily the stem of the word is what the prefix and the word minus the prefix is. For example, the word provoke. If you remove pro, it will be only voke, right? And this is not the origin of the word. The origin of the word is evoke. It's not, it doesn't sound really comforting in your mouth to say pro-evoke. So by time, it came to be provoke instead of pro-evoke. Infra and under means below. And examples would be infrared and underestimate. Super means above. For example, supernatural, superficial, superlative, or miss to mean wrong. For example, misunderstand, wrongly understand, misuse, wrongly used, misdirect, directed in a wrong way. Extra means excess, so too much as well. Overpopulated and extraordinary are examples of too much. Re means back or done again. So reload, restate, restart. We're done for today. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe and keep up the good work.